Hello and welcome to the first interview on Talk to Captain Ian. It's special for me. Today, I have my dad, KG, the person attempting to summit Mount Everest. And when he does, he'll be the first black Kenyan to do it. It's amazing, it's exciting, it's exhilarating. Can't wait. Dad, KG, good to see you. How have you been?
Thank you, I've been good.
Karibu sana to Talk to Captain Ian interview. I know it's amazing to have your son to interview you here today. I'm also looking forward to this. Dad, tell me, what is your driving force to you climbing mountains? What made you start and what has been driving you all these years? You're 62 years old.
Well, I would say I really like it. And why I like it is just the serene, the beauty, the scenery I see out there.
Yeah.
And also the reduction of noise, clean water, and all that when I'm up high. I feel like I feel special when I'm up in the mountains.
Now that's amazing. And how many years have you done this?
Well, I can say I can remember more than 35 years.
35 years.
Mhm.
Wow. What has been pushing you and driving you? What has been the driving force to make you stay this long? I remember I asked you this once when we were going up to Lake Alice, and you were very fast, and I could notice that we were half your age, yet we were struggling to keep up with you. What's your driving force? What makes you so strong, and you always have this energy to do it and to motivate others to do it?
First of all, I feel energized, especially when I'm doing something that I want other people to taste. So when I have somebody else, I like introducing them to the mountains in a good way. Find the best time, the best pace for them. I learn so much. It takes a lot out of me when I'm in deep thoughts, when I have a lot of things I'm thinking about. When I go to the mountain, all that stops and I kind of refresh myself. Then the other thing is I like just being out there with people who are interested in learning and seeing them change, because mountains can change your life quite a bit. It can change the way you're thinking, the way you look at things, the way you just present yourself.
From the peace that you get up there, or is it that you just get a different view of things when you're up there?
There's the view, and there's the peace, and there's the just the atmosphere is so clean. You just feel like, yes, I'm breathing what I should be breathing. You are
Amazing.
seeing less people,
Yes.
so you don't have much to think about.
Yes.
You don't have to look around yourself as much because you know that where you are safe. You have to think about safety, which takes you further. And then the most important thing for me is it makes you realize what is important in your life. When you're down here, you have so many things, but you take them for granted. It's like if you are having everything, but when you're up there, there's so many things you don't have, and that's when you start realizing what you miss and why you miss it.
Wow, this is amazing and beautiful. So have you learned more about yourself while up there than actually when you're down here with all of us?
Definitely.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
That's
every
amazing.
day I find that I learn something, and especially patience, I picked up quite a bit, and just realizing that other people are at a different level that I am. I have to go down. I have to humble myself when I'm introducing this to other people. I cannot assume that they are at my level.
Wow, that's something that actually we see that the mountains have changed you somehow. And tell me, from a teacher to a mountaineer, what a career change. What made you change, and when did you realize, okay, I love mountains so much, let me leave teaching and go into mountaineering?
One, I would say that I'd never stop teaching. I'm still a teacher because in the mountains, a lot of times when I go out there, I go to teach people. I go to teach students who want to become mountaineers, who want to become guides, who want to learn leadership and take advantage of the mountains. So I'm still a teacher. And the main difference was now I can actually travel and be paid and teach and become a mountaineer all in one. And when I got to teaching in the outdoors, I felt much better, more freedom out there. I had freedom to choose the curriculum I want to present. I had the freedom to choose who I want to be with. Like when I think about guiding or teaching mountaineering, I'd rather teach mountaineering than guide.
Tell us about NOLS. What is NOLS all about? And how or when did you join NOLS and become part of it?
NOLS is National Outdoor Leadership School. It is a school, non-profit school, based in USA. It takes advantage of the outdoors to teach leadership. It is a big thing on when people go out for a month. You come out being a better person, being somebody who is independent, being somebody who can cook for yourself, being somebody who can plan a trip for themselves, and knowing the advantage of being in the outdoors. It's only that in Kenya, we do not consider outdoor skills as an important part of life. In US, if you're in college or in high school and you go out for an outdoor education course for 2 weeks or a month or 3 months, you actually get college credits. So when you get to college, you can actually miss college for a year because of that what you attained in the outdoors.
Oh,
but
nice.
in Kenya, we don't get that. And I believe that when people step out of classroom and go to Mount Kenya and stay for 3 weeks, what they actually learn in those 3 weeks is more than somebody can learn for 3 months in a classroom. And I know that for a fact. And I have seen people change. I have taken kids out, come back, kids who are like 13, 14, who their parents didn't even know where they are headed. And they come back and the parents are calling me and saying, "What did you do to my son or to my daughter?" I ask why. They are so responsible. They are even offering to cook for themselves. They are organizing their room. They are cleaning this. Now they are starting to see things they were not seeing before because they have stepped away.
Wow. So you teach life lessons actually even out
It
there.
is life lessons that you actually pick up a lot in the mountains.
And as a senior level instructor, Knowles, tell me, where did you start before you got to be a senior level instructor?
I started as an IT instructor in training who was running actually very literal, but then they saw something in me.
Yeah.
They saw I was promising and they saw I had potential. And I did not just stop in the teaching.
Yeah.
I reached out and started rock climbing. I went to ice climbing. I went to Glacier travel. And these are some of the schools that the school teaches. And we actually don't have enough mountaineers to teach out there. So that is something that made me be sent out to Chile, to India, to do that and lead all these courses. And as I did that, because of my safety record and teaching people how to be safe, I started getting promoted. And mainly, the promotion goes with your record, but also how many times you have been in the field. Every week counts. Right now, I have about 890 weeks in the field. That is 350 more weeks than anybody else out at North.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
Mountaineering. I think a lot of people watching us will ask you, what is mountaineering? Is it a career or a sport? Can you get paid in it, or is it something you just do for leisure?
You can choose to do it for leisure if you have another job and you just go visit and you decide, I want to summit Mount Kenya. I want to go to Kilimanjaro and all that. You can do it for leisure, fun.
Okay.
But also, those people who are taking you, they are doing it as a job. There are so many people who are mountaineers out there who would take you out and be paid.
Yeah.
If you go to Mount Kenya or Kilimanjaro or Rwenzori's, they are guides. Those guides are paid per day. They are porters. They are paid per day. They are cooks. They are paid per day.
Yeah.
And some of them would not go. Or you tell them, let's go to the mountain. They won't go if they are not being paid. It's a job.
Understood.
But to me, yes, it's a career. It's a job. But I have found myself sometimes out there without being paid, but teaching other people because I love it. You can come to me and tell me that I want to do this, but I don't have money. And now figure out a way of you incorporating you so that you don't miss that chance, because I know mountaineering is expensive.
Wow.
So for me, I just love it.
How noble. I mean, that's just amazing. There's a fear that a lot of people have going up the mountain, that you have to lots of exercise. And they think when you go up there, you'll get sick, you can die. Tell us the dangers and the preparations that are needed for one to, say, for example, hike up to Mount Kenya.
Well, exercises are good, and sometimes they can be bad.
Yeah.
So it depends on where you're going. Are you going to Logonot? Are you going to Kilimanjaro? Are you going to Mount Kenya? And what part of mountaineering are you doing? Are you rock climbing? Are you doing what? Let's assume you're just hiking up a mountain to the top of Point Lenana, and you feel like you are not fit, and you want to summit. You can start by just going upstairs. You can start by doing a run. You can just start by walking.
Wow. Really?
Just walking like 8 kilometers a day, or maybe thrice a week. But one thing you don't want to do is to be too vigorous. You do not want to do vigorous activities when you are going to a mountain, like in 3 weeks. Oh, I'm going in 3 weeks, so now I start. No, you don't want to overwork your body, because by those 3 weeks, your body will not be used. Okay. If you want to train, start early. Otherwise, don't do it. And I will still take you, and you'll be fine so far as you go slowly.
So without exercise, you can actually still go up, but slowly.
Yes.
That's very interesting.
In that, I can support you that. There are many people who tell you no, but I'll tell you yes, and I'll tell you I'm the one who will take you.
Wow, that's amazing. I didn't know without exercise you could actually summit. And it's interesting that even walking up a flight of stairs can really help you. Yeah. High altitude pulmonary edema, HIP, and high altitude cerebral edema. It's something where a lot of people fear, and we've seen it affecting. Even one of your friends you've shared with me once, where it's either the pulmonary water in your lungs or cerebral water in your brain. When do you think, or how do you think this happens when you're climbing up these mountains? And how have you yourself avoided getting such diseases going up mountains? I know you've not gotten any of these so far.
Well, those mountain diseases come because of pressure. When you're down here, the pressure is higher. When you're up there, the pressure, as you go up, the pressure is getting less. Yeah. So then the compatibility, if I can call it that, is less. Things are not squeezed together. There's more, the molecules are wider. So you're still breathing air. 21% is still oxygen. But then the amount, if you could weigh it, it's much less than here. Absolutely. So when you breathe twice, you're not getting enough oxygen like you're doing here as you go up. And you need oxygen in your body to digest food. It is the brain for the food for the brain. It is food for muscles also, it helps. And if you don't have oxygen, you may not be able to move. So you can acclimatize by actually going slow. Slowing down, meaning that you are not overusing your muscles. And then not ascending too high, ascending at just the right amount. Let's say about 300 meters per day. But sometimes that is impossible. You still have to ascend like 500 meters. But when you do that, you realize that, and then you have to rest for, and your body will acclimatize. But your body can only do that to a certain level. HIP is edema, meaning some swelling of water in your lungs. And the opposite is swelling of the brain, which is haze. HIP is more dangerous. On Mount Kenya, we see those cases. That's what kills people. Really? Haze is not as common, but it's very sudden. There's AMS, which everybody goes through. Acute mountain sickness. I went through that. You can vomit. You feel like you don't want to eat, stuff like that. So that is common. But if you have a good guide, somebody who is leading you well, somebody who is listening to how you're breathing and pacing you the way according to your physical fitness, that is not an issue. And also, guides or better mountaineers like me know when to tell you, you're not going past here before it gets worse.
I'll go into an emotional side of this. You lost a friend some time back. So what advice will you give to even experienced mountaineers as they go up different mountains, different times of the year?
The first thing is just to remember that you need to pace yourself well. If you feel like you don't know what you're doing, if you're not ready, then look for an expert who will take you up a mountain. There are things that the young people always do and need to be reminded. Because usually most cases are with young people, not older people, because they're impatient, because they feel like they have energy, and that's why they run. And then another thing that may cause that is ego. Another thing that may cause that would be just to show off. Like we are 5 young people, maybe they are ladies and all that, and 1 or 2 people want to show that they have a lot of energy. And that's when you get in trouble. So when you go mountaineering, you need to approach it with respect and respect for yourself, and asking yourself, is this the place where I should be competing? Just approach it in a humble way until you know what you're dealing with. You are out there, you are exposed, and you don't know. But you believe, some people believe they know, but they don't know.
Yeah.
It takes a while to become a good mountaineer and better in judging what to do and what not to do.
I love that. I mean, a lot of young people need to know patience. And I love that mountaineering, I'm learning this, is very much commensurate with life. And you're right, it teaches you a lot. Mount Denali, you are the first Black African to summit Mount Denali in 1989. I wasn't even born that time. What was this experience for you? And how were you able to actually decide, okay, this is the coldest mountain, there are lots of risks, let me tackle it? What was that for you?
Well, for that one, unlike like a Concagua, where it was my choice to go, Denali in 1989, after I did my instructor's course, the executive director of NORS then really liked NORS a lot, and he had seen my potential. He could see where I'm headed, and he wanted to expose me to extreme temperatures and see how I can do, how I can deal with that. And fortunately, I did very well. And we summited as a group. It took us 38 days. And though it wasn't my choice, I was excited to do it. And I was really glad that it pushed me to my limit. That was the longest at that point that I have been out on snow continuously, 38 days. And I can see that from there, it's added something from when I touched snow on Mount Kenya. When I got there, and now here I'm dealing with even ice and glacier travel. That's where, again, I fell in love with the side of mountaineering called glacier traveling.
Oh, great. So Aconcagua, which is the highest peak in the southern hemisphere, that was your choice?
That was my choice. I was out in Chile working. I went out for 1 month teaching mountaineering on snow. And then before I came out, they brought another group, so I continued for 60 days. And that last group, I said, now that I'm here, I really want to do Aconcagua. I don't know, but I just want to do it.
Yeah.
And 3 students said, well, how can we do to join you? Said, well, you have to chip in. Yeah. And they came together and said, you know what? We want you to just pay for your permit. That time permit was very $80. And your transport.
Yes.
But everything else, food, everything, we'll do it. So far as you are our guide and you're our logistics coordinator.
Yeah.
And go?
Yeah.
Let's go.
Wow.
And we went and we summited, 3 of us.
Do you mean you followed your own path that you just followed all the way up?
It has been followed before,
okay,
but it's something that I had never done.
Wow.
Yeah.
And were you the guide on that?
I was the guide. We didn't have a guide. Yeah. I just remember one thing.
I did not know that.
That I have to say.
Yes.
That on our way out of Aconcagua, we are hiking down because we went early in the season, so there weren't many people.
Yeah.
And I'm walking down, and this Japanese guy just shows up. He's hiking, his other people are behind. And the guy, for some reason, says, "Jumbo!" I'm like, what? And I say, "Jumbo back." And I say, "How did you know I'm from Africa?" Yeah. Said, "I didn't. I just saw you black, and I thought maybe." And I just came from Kilimanjaro, and I thought I saw you there. Yeah, it was so interesting.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, that was 1990.
I did not know you actually found the route all the way up the highest peak in the southern hemisphere. Yeah. You've done Denali, Aconcagua, Mount Kenya, which is highest in the country, Kilimanjaro, highest in Africa. Which is your favorite?
My favorite mountain is still Mount Kenya.
Really? Why?
Just how it is, the availability of water, how green it is. Up there, every valley you go to is totally different. The plants, the lobelias and sinicias and hagenias, just so interesting, so neat. And down low, the forest, the huge trees. Many mountains are not like that. And Rwenzori is my second.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Tell us a bit about Rwenzori. Is it an accessible mountain that anyone can go to? Or
yes, it is accessible. Unfortunately, it takes longer to climb.
Why?
It is the longest in East Africa to climb. At least you need at least 8 to 10 days because of the approach. Also, Rwenzori is like it's not equatorial forest, but it's very close, very, very thick, a lot of water. It has more snow than any of the other East African mountains. So when you're up there, it's just wonderful. It's a range of mountains. It has different mountains with different peaks.
Oh, interesting. So, 2013, you're called. We need to put up a flag up Mount Kenya to celebrate 50 years of independence. How did you feel?
Well, it was, to me, being a mountaineer was just, okay, this just, to Mount Kenya to do this, that feels good. One thing that I wasn't surprised because before I left Kenya in May that year, and that was the same year actually I did Denali the second time.
Oh, really?
It was the same year I did Snows of the Nile, the movie on Wenzori.
Wow.
So this feat of doing the
50
years
celebration
was another something to cap the year.
Yeah.
But I'm the one who had come up with the suggestion to do that and put all the logistics together. And then before I left, I sent it to the park, and I forgot about it. So when they called me, one, I didn't feel like they picked me to do that. Yeah. It's like I'm the one. I'm the
pioneer.
Yeah, but still, it wasn't shown that. It was shown that it's them now inviting me.
Understood. So, how many times have you gone up Mount Kenya and Mount Kilimanjaro? Have you counted, or are you something innumerable, and you've not even kept track of the number of times you've gone up these mountains?
I haven't kept track. Just too many times. All I can remember is before I joined North in 1987, I had gone up Mount Kenya at least 60 times.
1987, you had gone up 60 times, and you're not an instructor yet.
Yes.
So it must be many years,
yeah.
A lot of time.
Yep.
You've come up with different routes for Mount Kilimanjaro as well.
Mm-hmm.
How do you come up with the route up a mountain? We see a mountain from afar, and honestly, when you look at it, it looks very, just big and vast, and with forest and different kinds of vegetation. How do you come up with the route all the way up there? Do you just look at the peak and say, let's follow this? Or is it some experience that you use to know this is better than this other area to come up with a route up there?
Routes are different. You can have a route through the forest. That's a different one than when you're looking for a route to climb like Mawenzi on rocks. So for the forest one, you need experience. Like I know that if you have a river here and a river here and a ridge in the middle, the best place to travel on that down low is up on top of the ridge because it has less vegetation. So all you need to do is go travel up there and then keep finding out. You can check them up and see where water is accessible. And sometimes it isn't. You have to go all the way down. And it's like saying, I'm starting here and I want to get to the top. And that's it. You put your mind there and you do it.
And you go.
Fortunately, the ones I've done, I've never failed. I've always made it through. For rock climbing, like Mawenzi, when I was asked to go do it last time, I remember, these days with satellite, looking, reading books from people who have done it before and all that. And then when I went down there, I just went, and to the side I was thinking was better, looked at it, took like a whole day just looking from far. And then I was committed. This is what I'll do. And I did it.
You've mentioned rock climbing.
Yeah.
When did you specifically train and become an instructor for rock climbing?
I started climbing in 1984. I did a 2-week course. Oh. But before then, I had gone to the mountain, and one of the guides, caretakers, was my friend, introduced me to rock climbing. But I even didn't know it was something that people do. And then when I did the 2-week course with North in 1984, that's when I knew that, oh, wow, this is something. And after that, I knew that I want to continue chasing it, like, following that and doing it even better. So when I became an instructor, you can just be an ordinary North instructor where you teach leadership, first aid, and all that stuff. I wanted to branch off to mountaineering and not just hiking. I wanted to branch on to something else. Yeah. So I took rock climbing. So I trained myself a lot in Hell's Gate. Yeah. Sometimes I would just go alone and climb the same routes many times until I was good. And then I would go to states to do the same. Then I started actually teaching other people. And then I did a rock climbing seminar. Yeah. And then before long, after I got comfortable, then I branched off to ice climbing and glacier travel. So now I can combine all of them.
What is glacier travel?
Glacier travel is when you are exposed to a huge glacier You know, Glacier is a dynamic thing. It moves, but you can't tell, but it is moving.
Yeah.
And because of that movement, it has a lot of cracks.
Yeah.
It has crevasses. You can be avalanche in there.
Yes.
You could be stepping on snow, yet Adelaide, there's a hole. So you need to learn how to protect yourselves, that if you're walking and something happens, you're protected. So there's technical way where you tie people up on a rope, and everybody is ready that if one person falls, they arrest them. Arresting means stop them, and then you figure out how to get them out of that hole.
Has that ever happened to you?
Hasn't happened to me falling, but it has happened to a colleague falling. And then what it means is you all have to stop, and not just stop. You're using a nice axe and anchoring it down, and that person is pulling you down. And then the third person does a few things, pull the system, and you pull the person out.
Wow, isn't it scary? I mean, or do you expect it? So it's not such a big deal. I expect it happens, pull the guy out.
It's just like first aid. Every time, like you can be, a doctor sees patients.
Great.
So they actually practicing. But a first aider doesn't always have to have patients, because you do first aid to somebody who is injured.
Yes.
And to tell you the truth, throughout my career, even in first aid, I teach it a lot.
Yes.
But the experience of having a lot of injured people doesn't happen much to me, especially accident and all that. Yeah. And I don't want it to happen. So you have to continue reading and practicing that, so that you are ready for when that happens. Or you have to practice how to do those pulley systems, so that when it happens, it's not a matter of thinking. You do this. This is number one. This is number two. Using an ascender here, a rope there, push it here.
Sort of an emergency response.
Yes.
You're prepared.
Yep.
Now tell us, of all these, years you've been doing this, let me call it your career. What has been your highlight, the best thing of all this in your career?
I don't think a highlight is just, I cannot say one single thing, but I'll definitely say that 2013 was my highlight. Doing the Snows of the Nile, when I went to do that movie as the safety officer, as a guide and a cameraman.
Do you mind telling us a bit about Snows
of the Nile? Was two scientists won this grant from those Ekis. Those Ekis are the ones who also own anything here. Yeah. And they wanted to, whoever does a good presentation of what they want to do, they would sponsor them to go and do that thing as a scientist. Yeah. What they wanted to do is follow the steps of Luigi de Savoie, who summited Penzori the first time in 1908, and take the same photographs. And so they won this. They were given the money, and I was called from states. Oh, we've been looking for a safety officer on Penzori. We hear you have a lot of experience there. You have a lot of technical. Can you? And I agreed. They interviewed me. I passed. And when I went there, because I've trained most of the guides of Penzori, there right now. When you train them and you go there as a safety officer, they let you be the guide. Yeah. And I helped in cameraman. So anyway, we had to follow how they went in and how they came out and take the photographs the same way. But the main part was those photographs, comparing them with the 1908 ones to see how the glacier has received it.
Wow, must have been exciting. I agree with you. That was quite something. Yeah. 62 years of age, and Mount Everest comes. When was the first time you thought about summiting Mount Everest?
I started thinking about Everest back in 91, 92, around there when I did the Eiger in Switzerland, and just thinking, wow, it would be cool to go up Everest. But then at that point, it's like, there is no way I can afford that. That time it wasn't even that expensive, like now. Yeah. But I knew that I would not afford it. And then I had a chance to go up with twice with two American-sponsored expeditions. But eventually, I did not qualify because they were only sponsoring American residents. So after a while, I was like, I want to be the first black person on Everest. And then somebody from Lesotho, a few South Africans tried in 1996, but there was a big accident there. Fortunately, they were not affected, but we lost a lot of people.
Wow.
And then 3 or 4 years later, a guy from Lesotho also summited. So he was the first black on.
How did I? I'm sure you felt I should have been the one.
I was happy. I was happy for them
Already.
because at that point I was starting to say, getting old. Where am I? I don't even have the money. Why am I even thinking of it?
And this is 1996.
Yeah, and I'm thinking, there's a lot of people who are always asking me, can we go out and look for money? And then I would not have that energy because I want to be up the mountains, not thinking about how to look for money. And then I forgot about it. But when we did the second Denali ascent, I was leading the first African American expedition. And that was 2013. Again, that to me, I say it's my highlight.
First Black African American up the coldest mountain, Denali.
And I'm from Kenya, being the leader.
Wow.
Not a participant, but the leader of them, like people who are taking them. And during that time, I feel honored in mountaineering.
Taking a first Black African American people.
So during that time, and that's when I met after some of the people I'm going with this time. They also picked up a lot from me, my seniority, my experience, and I did a lot that helped in the success of that.
And this is 2013.
Yeah. We did not summit. We went short of like 100 meters. And then there was Tada and all that, and they said, you're turning around. Some people may not have been happy, but that's the best thing to do when Tada comes in the morning. After that, I met Phil, the leader of Everest, was on another expedition with some other people from North Face who are up here. Like when I mentioned them, somebody who knows mountaineering said, you've been climbing with that person? Like they are celebrities.
Yes.
And I started thinking then, what about if we did this for Everest? But I didn't talk about it.
Which year?
That is 2013. I didn't talk about it. And then Theo was also thinking about it. Then he passed the same message to Conrad Anker, he's a North Face mountaineer.
Wow.
And this guy also continued pondering about it. And Theo eventually, 2 years ago, started thinking about it. And last year in January, he called me and said, KG, you're going to Everest and you're on the team. I said, no, Phil, I'm 62. And I know I'm going. Oh, no, age is not a factor. I said, okay, my knees are not good. Oh, no. That's okay.
This is 2020.
Yeah. And we continued on everything I said. Even me, I have reasons like yours. And then eventually I said, okay, if you just want a Kenyan, there's a Kenyan who have been training to go to Everest and he's looking for sponsors. And I would like him to be that person. I said, nope. The reason why we want you on this expedition is we know you're a good motivator. Some of the two leaders I was with on the Nali are coming on that. And he saw, as I'm a very good supporter of women in that level, he saw me as that. He saw me as somebody who's good with team building and all that. And he wanted that expertise in me, in leadership.
Phil is the head of Mount Everest.
He's the head of the team, Full Circle.
A Full Circle, Mount Everest. And, when you say no, what really, is it age and your health that was the concern, or did you just feel, you know what, I've done this for too long, let me not go for that?
I would say my excuses were age, my knees, and the other thing was like fear. If I commit to this, it means that I can't work from December to June. I have no salary, I have a family, like that. Say, maybe we can deal with that, we can, and then eventually, when he came with the other reasons, I said, okay, I'll try.
When did you accept? So 2020 you denied?
No, so in January, and I said, let me think about it. And after a week, he called and said, you're not even thinking about it because you're on it. And I said, okay, let's move on.
Oh, so it was really a concerted thing, and you decided you're going?
Yeah, everybody was going, yes.
And you skewed your mind and said, I am going.
I'm going.
Is this what you've been looking for your whole career?
I can't say yes or to that. It's an opportunity like any other, but I know I'm honored to be on it. When I summit, I know it will take even further. It will give me more goals because that's not the limit. I know it will be pushing my limits, and again, I'm ready for that. It's not, apart from the high altitude, I don't see anything else that is that challenging.
70 days up that mountain?
Yeah, and that's not the longest I've been out. So
Oh, so it's
That's not part
it's
of
not
the
about that. It's only about how high you're
Yeah.
going up there.
Yeah.
So I'm still exhilarated by the fact that at 62 you are willing and sure you're going up there. And when you make it up there, you'll be the first black Kenyan to do it. What does this mean to you individually?
I feel have felt that I have accomplished, like all these small mountains have helped me get to that, because without them, I would not get up there. I feel
The
that
small
way.
mountains to us are very big.
Yeah, they are. But also, I would say I feel good for other people who are looking out to me, people who are interested in learning about mountaineering, because it will give me another opportunity. It will give, when you do something like that, you kind of elevate your face out there, and so you have more voice. You can be able to reach out to more people that you may not be reaching to. And I would like to encourage people.
Your aim will be not only mountaineering, but to actually inspire and motivate more people.
Yes.
I mean, you're already inspiring a lot of people out there and thinking, if a 62-year-old is going to Mount Everest, what is stopping me as a 30-year-old, as a 40-year-old from doing what I want? I mean, it's amazing. It's just great. So you've done a reconnaissance. Tell us about the training that you've put into this to prepare you to start the trip in April. I know you've gone to Nepal. Tell us what you did there. Tell us the training that you actually did, the prayers I bet you went through there, and what are you doing now to prepare?
Well, fortunately for me, is that since I kind of knew for sure you're doing this, that was like from July, I've been in the field through carrying a 60-pound backpack, 35 kilos on my back for a month continuous, then out another month, all that. And I think the best that put me in shape, that made me lose a lot of weight, is going on a 2 weeks winter course, pulling a sled that is, 59 kilos and still carrying 20 kilos on me. And
heavy.
not for long, but still it was quite challenging. Then I came back here, went up the mountain for quite a bit, and then Nepal trip, and now still going up. I just came back from the mountain the day before yesterday. On Monday, I'm going to Kilimanjaro for 14 days, and that's where I was stopped. Unfortunately, because of my knees, I cannot do vigorous exercises like running, especially on hard ground, and I don't want to injure my knees at this point. I know myself. I know where I'm going. I know what I'm supposed to do and what I should do to get there. Other things I've done is I have that crisscrossing machine and the climbing machine. I have those two every morning. I hop from one to the other. Not too vigorously again, for my knees. And then one important thing is when I come back from Kilimanjaro, I'm happy I've added a little bit of more, a few kilos since I came back from the winter. And on Everest, I expect to lose a lot. So one of the other things I need to do when I come back is eat.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good. Every person who gets to hear KG is going up the mountain, they have fears. Oh, the worst might happen. Any fears that you have for this experience?
Every mountain I go to, especially rock climbing or any technical mountain, that morning before I start, I always have this, not a fear, but comprehension, or I don't know what I can call it, but that feeling of not being sure. But as soon as I put my foot there, I get all this energy in me, and my brain gets straight, and I know that if this happens, this is what I can do. I have no fear of anything going out there. If it's the cold, I have the clothing. North Face has done a very good job with that and other companies. If it's food, we have food. If it's a high altitude, I'm planning to go up and down as many times as possible. We have oxygen. And above all, I have the ability to make my own decision that I don't have to summit to show the world that I can summit. But already being up the mountain, I have put a point across. I can still inspire people, even not by summiting. And if the worst comes to worst, because the other things, that calamities that can become, could be an avalanche, rock falls, stuff like that. If that comes, That can happen in any mountain. You know, those things can happen even by the road here.
Yeah.
So I'm not worried about.
That's amazing to hear. I like that. That you're just looking forward to it. You don't care what other people say. You're just going for it. The experience going up Mount Everest is a very expensive one. Very, very expensive one. How much does it cost, and how have you gotten sponsorship to ensure that you get up there and back?
The way we are doing it, for one person, they need at least 10 million.
Kenyan shilling.
And that 10 million, 1.5 goes to permit alone.
Wow, that's really expensive.
Most of the other part goes to paying the provider, the outfitter. And the other main part goes to equipment. Wow. And equipment is actually a big issue. So for us, that side part, we already covered. You know, companies like Scapa, companies like North Face, MSR, Tamarest. I can't name all of them, but they have come together and given us enough gear and equipment. It is sunglasses, you know, the companies left and right coming in, you know, computers. Like almost, when I went there for training, I was ready with all my gear, but I was told, put them there, here's your gear. So you're not even using anything. The part that may be harder is now the travel, the tickets and all that, and then the part of training. Because all these trainings I'm doing, I have to pay for that. That is the harder part, especially in Kenya. Well, I'm in Kenya.
Wow.
But I'm glad that Betika came in at the right time, and they have made it possible for me to go through every training I had planned for. If it wasn't for them, I wouldn't have been able to do that.
Wow, amazing. That's a great job by Betika. Now, as we wind up this interview, what advice would you give to any young man or lady out there struggling to know what career path to take, whether to switch careers even, like you did sometimes back? What advice do you have for them?
The first thing is just follow your instincts. Follow what you feel like. Unfortunately, I can say that both ways, but unfortunately, it has to be at the right time. Like for me, it came at the right time when I got the opportunity I wanted. So what I would say is, first of all, you know, these days jobs are not available. Do not sit and wait for the job you wanted. If you wanted to become a teacher, do not sit at home and wait to become a teacher. If you get a chance to become a guide on the mountain, if you get a chance to become a cook in a hotel and get peanuts, get there. Maybe that is your stepping stone to the teaching job you've been looking for.
Wow.
I refused to join teaching for 2 years. No, for 1 year.
Really?
And then eventually I said I would do it. And I have to say that it's that teaching job that put me to this one. And I did not see it that way at that point. But I just got to a point and said, okay, you know, it's not a job. I'll just go become a teacher. And I'll make good use of me as an educator. And I did very well as a teacher. People didn't even think I was good teaching. I was having fun, and I was making it that fun because I could see people who are bored by teaching. But it's because they are not coming. They are not liking their job. Yeah. That's what I put. I did not want to be a teacher. But now I'm a teacher. Yeah. So if you are a cook, if that's a job you get, be there, like it, love it, then you enjoy it. And because of that joy, that's how you actually get to go to the career you want.
Wow. Amazing advice. Last question. Give us a story, a short one, of the best experience or the worst experience that you've had in the mountain that you've never told anybody.
It's nothing that I haven't told anybody. I share all my stories. All my stories are too long.
A one that is just a short one that you've never shared before, that you think is interesting.
I think I already shared with you the jumbo one. That's the shortest I can think about. I can't remember telling anybody else. And the one exciting are too long to share on this. But I have a lot of stories, and that's a good question. Because one thing, the last 5, maybe 2, 3 years, I've been challenged by a lot of people that by now I should have written a book. And I have come up with all the short stories I have in the mountain. I think I have come to 52.
Wow.
And the only thing I need is to write them down. And I was thinking that Everest might be one.
Yeah, I mean, write it down, and and I'm sure it will be the 50-second story.
Mhm.
Or will it be the first story in the book? I would love to read that book.
Okay.
Amazing. Well,
Good.
you've had it. 62-year-old man going to summit Mount Everest. KG himself, my dad. We are very, very proud of him. And we wish him nothing but the best. We hope he goes, comes back, and we hope also he shares all the stories. And after summiting, I am sure there'll be exciting stuff that he will share with us. Till next time, thank you so much, KG, for joining me today. I am sure we'll see you when you're back.
Yeah.
And when you're back, I'm sure you'll give us some good stories.
Sure.
Thank
I
you so
will.
much. And thank you for joining Talk to Captain Ian. And this is the beginning of many more interviews to come. Talk to me.